Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of discussion on ADP Clan. ADP, no, my bad. ADP Blank podcast.
Since it's still called that.
It's still called that. We apologize, even to ourselves as well. So we're definitely going to work on that one. But it's your boy, aka Nugus, and me, Mr. Unit, back with another dump of opinions. And this video's this podcast, or this week's podcast edition, is on topic of men, right? We're watching this video asking the question of all of us men are I guess the same, if we're as basic as that, my bad. And yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting, right? Do you think all men are the same? Do you think we're all the same? Do you think we think the same, we be the same? What do you think?
I do think we're the same.
I mean, are we though? Like, we're not even... Do you think we're all the same? I mean, like, genetically, possibly. We all got XY chromosomes. But...
I mean, we all got the same instincts to a certain point, so... I guess. There are more intelligent men and less intelligent men, and... Not only
that, let's point out the obvious. It's like, there are a few more manly men than others, you know what I mean? Like, you can...
Yeah, obviously.
You can open you can go to the gym and see like a guy who's like 3 times as wide as you with like buff arms, and then you can open a YouTube channel with like go to BuzzFeed and find these there's probably no nice way of describing it. A bit more feminine men, let's just say that. I mean, I would say
definitely.
I would say that would be a difference. But I guess coming to an opinion, we shall definitely see if there's a difference between us, right? Along with this video. So let's just go ahead. What did you say?
Let's just go ahead then.
All right.
It did work. We just messed it up.
So that's important to you, to be like the breadwinner?
I'm the caretaker of society.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting.
So we're gonna say this. This is another video by Jubilee.
Yeah.
And I think they make really great videos and great experiments. So.
If he's worried about the size of... I don't think... Oh my God. I don't think saying no is...
This is a good question.
Is being very...
It's just a normal thing to be worried about.
Exactly.
Like when you're growing up, like you're like, am I normal? You know, like...
I hate this. I guess like when I was younger, I was like, whoa, is this normal? Is this not? But like, eventually I was like, nah, I'm fine.
I feel like this whole conversation is just like bringing to my awareness how impressionable and like how much of our lives and our masculinity is defined by when we're kids. When everybody's like, oh, you gotta have a big dick, you gotta have a big dick. And all you see is like, only time you see a dick is on porn and it's like 14 inches, then it's like, well, mine doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Then of course you're gonna like start thinking about it versus...
Due to a sound issue, okay.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's more plausible.
That makes sense.
I changed my mind because what he said was, it made a lot of sense, because I remember the first time I saw porno and I saw a black guy's penis, I was like, I'm not like that. As I got older, I perfected my craft. I've never had a problem with women. It has nothing to do with the penis. It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean. You just love a woman, you embrace each other, and it's just, I've never had a problem with a woman since then.
I think for younger guys, this is the concern that I'm realizing is like, maybe if these discussions were more open about size and whatever, and that really over time it all becomes okay and it's fine, maybe that would help a lot.
What does that even mean?
Okay, pause.
All right. What?
Yeah. So
what do you
I guess the first topic's quite interesting, and funny to a certain degree.
It is.
We understood that the first constellation was kind of wrong because of a sound issue. So that's why a lot of people disagreed with the fact.
Yeah,
But,
at first
I mean,
it was like half,
we would-
right?
I mean, we all know that it's kind of an issue, though. I mean, until you're like at least 14.
I mean,
14 at late bloomers, 14.
I think that's cap. I personally think it's not. I mean, I would actually be reversible. I think I haven't. The thought of what was the question? The question was like if men were, I guess, worried or thought about, I guess, the length of their, I don't know, genitals or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in some ways it was actually the reverse with me, where it was where it came later on from like 18 up, whatever. But it was never like a concern of like, what am I supposed to do, whatever. It was like, oh wow, so like, I don't know. But
I don't know. Maybe it's like a slight insecurity, maybe towards.
Yeah,
others,
I think that's something that everybody has, especially if like a lot of people.
I mean, it's normal. It's really normal,
exactly.
Especially
it's not
when you kind of when you're like in puberty age and.
Definitely, you grow out of it, right? I think that's what that's supposed to be. Like you growing out of it, and you learning out of it. That it's like A, that you can't change it, and B, it's like it's whatever.
I've never had the problem because I'm decently equipped.
Stop the cap. No, I'm playing. No, I'm not playing. I don't know. But what did the guy at the end say? He I don't want to assume his sexuality or nothing. I'm just gonna call him a guy. He said something about like if these talks were more open, and then the whole thing would be more accepted. I don't understand these kind of talks where like people are just saying, yeah, if we make these things open, whatever, like who are you gonna talk to, right? You know what I mean?
You know, sometimes the people that say these kind of that give these kind of answers, if something was more open, people would be more understanding. That's not necessarily the fact, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I believe it could also be that like, well, women really don't or have a problem with short equipped guys.
Exactly.
Like, and if you're short equipped, then that's a problem probably for you.
Exactly.
Like, and then you're gonna have like real insecurities because you actually know for a fact that it's a problem, and you have
that
like,
would be damn. No, but my point with him was like he said the problem with what I have with him was like he said in perspective of like if men talked about this more, the problem would be solved. No, the problem is, as you've actually said it, like it's towards women, right? And what they prefer, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's definitely towards women.
So however we just talk about it, it won't necessarily help. You know what I mean? Because it's like a preference of like of another gender, whatever. I mean, talking about it would definitely help, but it wouldn't solve the problem, in my opinion. I think some things you just gotta do on your own. Some things you just gotta overcome on your own with your own experience, whatever. That's how I see it. But it's too generic of just saying like if we just talked about it, if we made it open, whatever, it will be solved. I don't think that's fact.
Yeah, it's cap in my opinion.
It's cap. It's cap.
It's kind of it's this postmodern opinion of expressing. Yeah, kind of, and everybody should
just try to
should just understand and try to get along. And,
exactly, but
yeah, well, that's not necessarily how the world works.
Yeah,
as we know.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. But let's continue.
Let's continue with the next.
First date. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice. I like the way the old school ways work.
I would say hold.
We just messed it
All
up.
right.
Hold. What do you think?
What was the question again?
Should men pay on the first date?
I think men are inclined to do that, but I think more so if you're the person that invited the other person, absolutely. I think if I as an individual invite someone else for a dinner, whatever, take that person out, it would definitely be my responsibility of sponsoring that entertainment of the night. You know what I mean? But I think if the female basically kind of just invited you, she might, I go on a basic of like who's the guest, who's really the one who invited, who's really pushing this. And I wouldn't mind having like a 50-50 like pay like check at the end. But I think if I'm the one who invited that person out, I think it would be my responsibility to pay for it as well. But I don't mind her paying for her own as well. So it's not like I get demasculated if she says like I'm gonna pay for it. A matter of fact,
how
like
I do. You know how I do it to avoid this issue. A tip for all you men who have this kind of issue and and think about what am I supposed to pay. Lessons here from you're also known as Nugus.
Bless us.
Just go to multiple places. Like take her maybe to a bar on, at kind of 6 p.m. and get a few drinks. You pay for those drinks. Then maybe you go to another place, maybe to get some food. And then she kind of has the chance to pay and kind of make it up to you again. So I guess that's the way I do it. And
that makes sense. Exactly. Like you said, if you go to like multiple places, right? But let's just say you guys go on a dinner, right? Just one dinner. Would you? And that's your first dinner, right? I think that's the question. Would
first
you?
Dinner,
how would
I
you
wouldn't
feel
pay.
about?
No,
You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
pay?
pay.
Full?
I wouldn't pay.
Really?
Like I wouldn't pay full. I would split, definitely.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's
I
tough.
mean, I don't know her. It's the first time I'm
Makes sense.
approaching somebody. We have no connection. I mean, we're supposed to kind of get a connection in between the date and stuff, and you never know how that's gonna go out.
So
and
are
if
you saying it
if
in
you're
like
gonna
in the?
get along with each other or not? So
So are you saying like absolutely you're gonna split the check, or is it like if we really vibe throughout the whole event, if I really get to know you, whatever, you might be inclined to like pay for the whole thing, or is that a possibility?
I'm gonna split the check. I'm gonna split.
All right,
the
it's a
check anyway.
testament. It's a testament.
I'm gonna split the
Respect
check.
it. I respect it. Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's always been like that, right? That men kind of always have to pay for everything. I don't agree with it, but I go by the sense of like who's inviting who, like the guest stances. So yeah, I don't know. But let's see these guys answer the question.
Yeah.
So that's important to you to like take that leadership role to be,
Tradition.
to be like the breadwinner.
I'm the caretaker of society. I don't even like saying it this way. Once you give the woman the power, then you just demasculated yourself.
That's
wanna
what I
stick to what's
don't
made me
agree
happy.
with
And
right now.
my grandparents, my parents, I'm just gonna stick with it because it works. It's not perfect, but it works. Be a man, plain and simple.
I don't know. I think we're just getting in dangerous territory when we start talking about chivalry. At the end of the day, it's like, yo, baby, if you want to pay for this, like, there is no hierarchy here. Like, if you want to pay for this, pay for this. And maybe next time I'm like, I just got to check, so I'll pay for it.
Wasn't this the first meal though? You
Yeah,
said?
the first one.
Okay. You only
Yeah.
get one chance to make a first impression.
What does it matter if it's a girl or a guy? It's 2019, and your logic shouldn't be, like, no disrespect, like, oh, because my grandpa did it and it worked for him, then it works for me. If she's not gonna date me that second time because I didn't pay for her, I think I dodged a bullet.
Okay. Pause.
All right.
So now we got their opinions. I kind of have to agree with the Afro-American dude, I guess. To some extent. Well, I don't agree with the fact that there is no hierarchy whatsoever.
Because that's what he suggested, right?
That's not why. That's not why. In my opinion, I believe there's always kind of a hierarchy when you're like in a relation to somebody, and there's always the guy that kind of is more dominant in a
Definitely.
conversation, and the other one less dominant.
Definitely,
So-
especially in a relationship, right?
So I believe the hierarchy
Exists.
the argument against the hierarchy is kind of crap.
I
and
think, yeah. But
even
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. So the thing that happened was like the guy who went furthest to the right, like who said I strongly agree that men should pay first. He said it in the aspect of like this was tradition, this is what men are supposed to be, whatever, and he connected it with like being breadwinners. But breadwinners, whatever, that term only applies when you're in a family, when you're in a household, when you're already in a relationship with someone, you're building something up. You know what I mean? That's where your like protectiveness comes.
I strongly agree.
Exactly. So I don't understand where he says like, okay, I gotta prove my masculinity, my dominance, literally in every aspect of my life, where I come to everyone. You know what I mean? I think that's very foolish. Like if he says like, gotta prove that I'm a man by just paying or sponsoring whatever.
No, I think that's bullshit.
Exactly. That's
cap.
That's why I disagree with him. But on the other side, right? I when the people said it was like, the hierarchy thing, the guy said, and also like the guy with the orange shirt, right? He said something about like, well, I don't like the fact that people are still old-minded. I think I kind of disagree with that. I think we should definitely keep some aspect of like traditions. But we do also kind of have to balance it with like the modern shift of like how everything changed, right? There is still hierarchy, but it's definitely not as much as before. So we can absolutely let women pay. So it's not like they don't have any money. So you're right. I would have at the first I would have probably said it strongly agree, but I would have probably just pushed it to what's the middle line? I think it's like somewhat agree. So I would somewhat agree still that men kind of have to pay.
Yeah, I would slightly disagree. So at least on the first date, I would slightly disagree.
Definitely. So next. Yeah. Wait, hold up.
Next one is I support the hashtag #MeToo movement. So I support the hashtag #MeToo movement.
1, go.
Be real.
Strongly agree and strongly disagree.
At first, when I
Instagram
saw it, you know, and talking to my friends, and family, a lot of people in the South, they're like, these women should have spoke up a long time ago. And then I had to like step aside and really process it for myself and be like, you know what? She didn't feel comfortable. And she wasn't in a society, in a place where it was acceptable for her to say anything about it. So now that they have the platform and the ability, I'm like, that's amazing. Speak your truth.
What do you tell a child who is accused of rape by a woman, has his whole life destroyed, and then people just go,
There's always going to be people that take advantage of it. It's not going to be perfect. We're figuring it out as we go, but I think it's done more good than it's done bad.
I think we get to acknowledge the bad, though. Like I think,
of course.
That's why I'm doing
he
like
say
this thing is like
agree if
for
he
us to say
says,
like, oh, he did that to me,
too?
and all of a sudden now we've like vindicated
I
that
don't
guy is
know.
like vilified. Like there is no chance of like him having a say in the conversation.
Trial
we get to
by
have a
mob
conversation
is
every
not
time.
good. Like this mob mentality is bad. I
Yeah.
agree
Why
with that,
would you
but
be on
I don't think that's
strongly
exclusive
agree
to the Me Too movement.
But we're using it right now to say, oh, that person is bad. Oh, fuck that person. There's no further conversations being happening. If it's a movement to say, yes, okay, this hierarchy we've created of men and women, which is a result of the way men are expected to act, that women are expected to act. Let's have those conversations and everything changes, and I'll be over there all fucking day.
Hey, pause.
Okay, pause.
What do you have to say?
What I have to say, well, first of all, I kind of like the black dude. he has a kind of slightly conservative opinion about these things. So, I mean, now it's already the second or third time I've agreed with him. Third time.
Yeah.
So, third. And I have to say, I didn't follow the Me Too movement that much.
Okay.
You know how it is. It's kind of like one of these modern topics, and
but you do know about it, right? You're familiar with it.
Not to the fullest.
Not to the full extent.
I kind of know
significantly. Would you say significantly?
I can't. Yeah, significantly.
All right, there you go. So you can you can have an opinion on it. So what do you say?
I mean, it's kind of a controversial topic. Let's be honest.
It's definitely controversial. So if I can speak upon it, right? I would have said disagree. I wouldn't have said strongly disagree. I wouldn't have been on the contrary of whatever everybody says. I would have said more than what the African American guy said, right? He said somewhat disagree. I said I would disagree absolutely. And one of the reasons was actually mentioned by him himself, right? It's a mob mentality where it's like I mean, everybody knows what mom mentality is, but it's just judging somebody within a crowd, right? The crowd is just judging you to do something. It's having like, it's having a huge people just not caring about details, enough details to make good judgments, but still judging you. You're just being exercised by, I guess, society at that point, right? It's definitely very dangerous, right? And the balance to that is the fact that, I mean, certain claims, like at least the first ones, I think, and a lot of in-betweeners as well, have been true, where it's like a lot of women were abused, right? And that should be fought against, I guess, abuse, right? And within itself, it is actually a well-intended movement, but I would actually say it has very much corrupted society, in my opinion, right? The fact that a lot of women have falsely accused men, and it's not a rare occasion. Unlike the
no, we all know a lot of claims, especially when you're like in the mainstream media, to superstars and football players and so on, that which like at least 99% of them are false.
Exactly.
Like, that's
so it opened a path. It opened a path, really, and we have seen it for a lot of false accusations, a lot of, you know, vendettas against people that you have to just accuse them and they're already done for it, right? Like abusing the whole system that was created, and it's not even a good system, in my opinion. So not only that false accusations, whatever, I've also kind of seen how like everybody else, like men that haven't been accused, right? Everybody else like being different, absolutely, right? In the sense, for instance, we had the vice president of the last term, right? It was Mike Pence. He while that moment, he said like he won't work with a female alone in a room anymore, right? He always has to have a lot of people. I would absolutely understand that, I guess, fear of like, okay, she might falsely accuse me of whatever, right? And I've heard a lot of reports, whatever, that women, because of that, have suffered in the workforce, because like men don't want to work with women anymore, right? Because of the fear. Well, right?
Definitely.
This is a side effect.
It's something that women can easily take advantage of.
That's the point, right? Women can just genuinely take advantage of it and just move on, even if they're wrong. Nobody's gonna talk about it.
You know, there is no consequences for doing, like no real consequences for giving false like accusations in that sense.
And niggas, not only that, it's like when you're accused, you're already like, it's on you to prove otherwise, right? You're gonna have a lot of effort to just prove that you're not, instead of it being
you have to spend a lot of money, a lot of time, and if you're a career person, it can also kind of harm your career for a certain amount of time.
Now, I would have said permanently. I think if you're genuinely
accused, even
genuinely accused,
definitely.
and you come out innocent, I think people are still gonna look at you a different type of way. You know what I mean? It's a very damaging process, and with no consequences for people that accuse them. And that's why I personally cannot support it. I can't support anything.
Yeah, I can't support it either. So
I can't support it in this aspect. So I would still stay at disagree, and I absolutely understand the African American.
Yeah, definitely.
But so next question is, toxic masculinity is overblown.
Is overblown. What does that mean? Overblown.
I think what they mean with that is, I think, exaggerated in the sense of like.
Okay.
In the sense of like, a lot of people just point out certain things like toxic masculinity, even though they're just maybe normal toxicity, whatever. So are people exaggerating toxic masculinity by accusing it?
Okay.
All right. So
yeah, that's a good way to rephrase.
Exactly. So
2,
1, go.
Toxic masculinity is overblown. 3, 2, 1.
Let's see. Yeah, my dude.
Overblown.
Wait, is it overblown? You disagree?
Yeah. Understand what
Exact
overblown
right
is.
word.
Yeah, I think I just somewhat agree that it's blown out of proportion, because I think what happens with social media is a group of people coin a term, and now we're all painted by it.
Like, we are not in like a post, I don't know, like rape culture world, you know, like women are being catcalled every day. And so, like, men are still, I think,
now
seen or experienced as like a predatory.
I really have to say I disagree.
Women. So, like, that's why I just don't
with
think it's overblown.
the side of
just,
disagreement.
It's new.
So I actually
if we were
agree
good
with the
men,
statement.
there wouldn't be feminists. They wouldn't be attacking us. They
they're
wouldn't
all
be hating us. You have a lot of guys who don't want to commit to marriage.
I would agree.
You have a lot of guys who
So
catcall.
I would be on the agree
So
side.
yes, men have become toxic.
that's very
And once again, I have to
So
be,
a lot of
I have
guys
to be consistent with
catcall.
all my beliefs and all my morals.
So wait,
I'm
should we
very
pause
traditional.
it? Should we pause
I
it?
see what you're saying, but the
Wait,
way
no,
you're
no.
framing it, like this word moral is kind of.
We don't know what that is anymore, though. That's
Well,
the
it's like it
problem.
sounds like you're saying like it's men's job to be like the moral compass of society.
It is.
I think it's everyone's job.
It's everybody's, but men, if men want to coin themselves as the leaders, you have to hold up to the good and the bad.
That's part of the problem, though. Like, that's what I think toxic masculinity, or it's putting too much pressure on yourself. I mean, it's very obvious that we're grappling with, like, the history and the damage of, like, what a world completely run by men does to us. That's why I think we're talking about toxic masculinity.
Pause. There was a lot said there. There was a lot said. Let's start
What's
with
your opinion on it?
if toxic masculinity is overblown. I think so. Absolutely. I think a lot of things that people just criticize on men, they just put toxic masculinity on it. They're just they're just normal toxicity. I think where it's individual. And if you genuinely ask me what's toxic masculinity, I still can't point it out for you, right? I don't think these people can point it out exactly for you either. They're just gonna call certain things that, in a lot of aspects, are just normal. I think certain people probably say like paying for first dinner is toxic masculinity. Opening doors for women is toxic masculinity because you're just trying to dominate her or whatever. And
Definitely.
it's definitely a way too broad term that's kind of a byproduct of this modern age, which is weird. And
yeah, this time I guess we both disagree with what at least the opinions of most of them.
Absolutely. So, I think the guy said about like the blue shirt guy, right? He said something about like yeah, we're a consequence of like a society where was just
yeah. Well, he's kind of the everything's the patriarchy's fault.
That's the point. I don't understand that. Where he said like, yeah, everything in the past was just absolutely terrible, and we're just suffering the consequences of it right now. That's not true at all. Society has survived for a pretty long time. The fact that we're living today shows its success. I live by I wouldn't say it's a philosophy. I would actually say we're in the modern age right now. We're actually in a society where it's totally flipped, where like women are kind of ruling. So it's a kind of women-centered society right now. We're definitely going to see the consequences in a few years.
Yeah, well, to some extent, definitely. At least in the
I would say that
in the Western world, I guess women do have gained a lot of
influence,
power, and influence.
Not only that, I think importance, right? It's like the concentration of importance, and I think the government, at least in the West, has been a woman-centered government. We're definitely going to see its product, I guess. I would say we're already kind of seeing it. We're definitely going to see it in the following years or generations. And
yeah, I mean, this is obviously a controversial topic.
Definitely is, but I don't.
So
think...
if anybody here disagrees with our opinion, please comment down below and tell us why. In this case,
absolutely.
I mean, we both have our opinion on the matter, and at least we thought about it a lot. It's not like we just
came up with it.
With it right now.
It's like it's whatever. Like we can't influence public discourse, whatever. We're just sharing opinion. But that's what I think about it. I think toxic masculinity has been just another term to just throw at men, you know. It's the same as like mansplaining, whatever. So like whenever a guy talks, it's just mansplaining.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And even catcalling. Let's be honest. Like this has been a controversial topic here in Italy too, like for the last month. Because some famous guy, you know, was like saying, yeah, well, catcalling ain't nothing bad and stuff, which unfortunately fortunately, depends what your opinion is. He kind of pulled back and
Dude, you apologize, right?
I apologized for
Probably. Yeah.
which I definitely didn't agree with the choice he made, but I kind of did agree with the fact that, you know, catcalling is something, well, it's always been there, you know, like
It's always been there.
Let's be honest, you know, most women, in my opinion, like if they're in a group, they don't even mind. Like they actually enjoy having eyes on them, you know, their eyes.
Attention, right?
Attention.
And it's positive attention as well.
I believe that the women that are actually whining are the ones that don't
Are the ugly ones.
that are kind of bitter to some extent. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe because of their looks, because of whatever.
Possibly.
And
here's the way I see it, right? Here's the way I see it. I think I've definitely, I mean, the perspective of guys, right? We don't get catcalled. We don't get that much attention when we walk on the streets.
Yeah,
so
but let's put it this way: is it worse to not get any attention? Like if you're like an average, maybe below average guy, you don't get a shit of attention anywhere, like from women. Is at least when you're a decent looking girl, you know, you'll probably get some attention to some extent.
That's the point. But I think the difference stands, right? I would agree with you. I think the difference stands with like, as guys, we definitely just get zero attention from women. Like we're supposed to approach them, whatever, right? We're supposed, you know what I mean? And for women, I
we
think
should
it's
ask.
total
The
flip.
question is,
if you're moderately good looking as a woman, I think if you're moderately looking, you're gonna get all the attention. You know what I mean? You're gonna get all the attention. I think
exactly
that definitely does. Like I definitely do understand it from the point of view that if you get that much attention, you're gonna get irritated. But on the other aspect, there are women that kind of enjoy it as well. That doesn't mean we should. I mean, I don't catcall people because I definitely just don't care. But to some extent, I do understand it. I think the problem that I have was like the blue shirt guy said it like put it along with like rape culture. He said something like, we had a rape
I'm
culture.
Say
you know, women are still being catcalled on. It's not rape.
It's not rape culture. It's something completely
don't
different.
Exaggerate
don't exactly that's
the problem that I have. I don't mind a woman saying like, I don't want to be catcalled. I don't want that much attention on me. Whatever. I might get it. Yeah, women get. I mean, like it's understandable they might get scared. Whatever. Right. I mean, I wouldn't say being catcalled
especially if they're alone. Like if they're alone, it's kind of something I as a guy wouldn't do if they're alone.
Exactly.
Because it might kind of make them feel uncomfortable. But women listening, just remember it's way worse not to get any attention at all.
Exactly.
So be happy you get like, even if it's not the attention you would like to have, it's like
that you get
a bit of attention. So please don't make a drama out of some people catcalling.
I think the ones that are actually calling drama
are the ones
jealous of not getting enough attention, so they don't want anybody else to have attention. Let's keep it hush hush though.
Yep.
So I think that's what my opinion. I think catcalling is not. It's not. And also, like, would you say catcalling someone is a trait of toxic masculinity? I think that's the question.
I mean, in the definition of toxic masculinity, yes, it probably is. I don't agree with toxic masculinity anyway, so I don't agree with the fact that catcalling is something bad, so I wouldn't say it's toxic. So,
all right.
Like, to some extent, you know, I mean, if it's exaggerated, obviously it's not something you should do, like, that should be encouraged to do, but, you know, it's not like you can't like put it on the same level as rape culture. Like
absolutely rape. Not. I don't. That's exactly the part where it was like that's weird. That's weird.
I mean, some women like it, so.
Yeah, I think that's
a
the
fact,
problem, right? Yeah.
As a matter of fact, so if you don't like it, that's your personal.
And that
opinion,
makes it the more confusing. That makes it the more confusing. That like, well, some like it, some don't. So like, what are you supposed to do? Just, you know what I mean? It's like it's very confusing. It's like
you know what I always say. You know what I always say. You don't get what you want. You don't always get what you like. So
yeah, people don't know what they want, right? And it's similar to like Nah, that would be too much of a topic. But that's the point, right? It's like some people just don't know what they want to some extent. Doesn't mean you should do it, but it's like it makes it more confusing. I don't know. But moving on to the next question. It says, "I'm comfortable showing my emotions." I think that's the question.
That's
the real
interesting.
Question.
That's interesting.
So let's go on.
Comfortable showing my emotions. 3, 2, 1, go.
So I'm comfortable showing my emotions, right? Okay.
It's been like harped upon me for years that like showing my emotions were bad. And like me trying not to be gay, I'm like, no, like I don't want to show these emotions because I'm not gay. I can't be gay. Like I'm not supposed to be gay. Like the church tells me, my dad tells me, my mom tells me, everybody's telling me I'm not supposed to be gay. So like just understanding that at 25, now 26, like I'm over here like, okay, like, oh, you're insecure. Okay, that's what that feels like. Oh, you're sad. That's what that feels like. I can now be aware of those things, but to show them to other people right now is like really hard for me.
I do feel like I'm very verbally like about my emotions with my wife, but I wouldn't agree completely because I'm not like that with anyone else. I mean, I just failed a college class and I was crying about it to my wife, but no one else at school saw me cry, you know?
I like this guy's opinion.
I specifically texted my wife, make sure the kids are asleep by the time I come home, because I just knew I was gonna be like, as soon as I stepped through that threshold to my house, I was just gonna let go and I didn't want them to see that. But like the next day I sat down and I had that conversation with them, like, hey, I just wanna let you guys know, you know, your dad didn't pass this class, and they're like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, of course.
You
know,
just
like,
cry in front of your kids, man. I remember like seeing my dad cry for the first time when his mom died, and I remember like imprinting that in my mind as like, wow, you know, like my dad can be upset, and that was like an important thing to witness.
It's reality, emotion.
Yeah, it's real.
I was raised by two parents that I never ever saw cry. The effect that that had on me was by the time one of them passed away very suddenly, I didn't really seem to be affected at all. So I've actually had to do a lot of therapy on that. This thing about masculinity not being able to show your emotions is very bad. It puts us backwards in society, and we need to be thinking about how to tap into our emotions in a healthy way together.
Thank you for saying in your truth, brother.
Okay, let's pause it. So now this was interesting. So apparently, the one black dude with the brown jacket is gay.
It's more of a.
So that's what he.
Green, but.
Yeah, well.
Never mind. Never mind. Yeah.
You know, men are simple, so it's brown.
Men are simple. Yeah, he's apparently gay.
And he said like how he struggles. I mean, he also had struggles with his family, you know, to kind of get his emotions across. And he obviously has even more issues getting his emotions across in public.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, if you already have hurdles in your family and stuff, it's harder if you give a shit about people's opinions, which you should to some extent, definitely.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for you. So I get where he's coming from. Like he says he disagrees. And it's not, you shouldn't be comfortable showing your emotions as a man.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is a hard one for me. I think there's situations and situations.
Situations, yes.
I wouldn't show my personal emotions like in public. I mean, I'm talking about emotions that might be uncomfortable, like anger.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not the guy that shouts at people, especially at people from the other sex, you know what I mean? So I'd say masculinity also has, like, being masculine also and being a man has to do something with being cool in a lot of situations, keeping your calm, being rational and not showing that many emotions, or at least being able to control which emotions you're gonna show.
Definitely.
So
I think that's the key spot. That's
yeah,
definitely the key spot.
we should leave it up to women who are more irrational in that sense, and they're more feminine, so they show more emotions.
Yeah.
And I believe we men shouldn't confuse that and show each and every emotion we kind of have. Most emotions kind of come up and irrationally, and you might regret showing them.
Exactly. I think, it's very generic, but it's like, I heard this quote from Drake, where he said, Drake the rapper also, he said, like, if he talked about, like, what his mom told him. He said, I don't know if you've heard this. He said, if you're angry, she said to him, apparently, if you're angry at something, right, just let it sit for like 72 hours, right? I think that's like 3 days or something. And if you're still angry in 3 days, I think she said, like, then kind of start talking about it. But he talked about, like, if anything that I get, like, I probably butchered it, but anything I genuinely get angry about, if I let it sit for 3 days, it really won't matter after all, right? And if you genuinely,
I agree. I believe that we need a rational society and not a society that
just acts on emotion.
Just acts on emotion.
Exactly.
And impulsive.
Because that genuinely doesn't work. That was his point, right?
I mean, we'd probably have chaos, and if people who had like a serious position of power were acting emotionally in certain situations, it would be a really bad thing, in my opinion.
That's the point. That's the point that he also kind of said, like, right, if I acted out of anger at that point, I will definitely do things I would have regretted, right? Like,
exactly.
With time, I realized that it didn't really matter as much as it seemed like in that moment when I was emotionally angry, whatever, right? And that's the point. I think you can be emotional. You should definitely be emotional, but you should...
In certain situations, you can be emotional,
but you should pick which situations, right? I think that's the point. That's what makes society or a person really better, whatever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess that's what a man is supposed to be.
Exactly.
Showing emotions or being able... I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't show any emotions. No, that's definitely wrong. You should show your emotions to the right people at the right time.
Exactly.
After rationally thinking about those emotions, and if they really... and if the emotions really reflect the situation and reality that you are actually experiencing.
Because most of the time, like, when you're emotional, like you said, you're not thinking rationally, right? So it's like, it's all in that moment. It's all, I gotta say it right now. I gotta say it. But 100%, you'll definitely regret things that you say when you're angry. I'm telling you. You'll regret maybe exposing some aspects of you if you cry out in front of everybody, right? And not everybody can help you in every situation.
You can seriously hurt people sometimes when you're angry. And
not only that, I think you're not even helping yourself, right? I would say, like, if you're...
Definitely not.
If there's something that makes you sad, whatever, and if you cry in front of everybody, whatever, not everybody can solve the problem that you're crying about. You know what I mean? You're just doing something extra that's the point. That's the point of, like, rationality. It doesn't really make sense to show every emotion to everybody, right? And
correct.
That's what differentiates the boys from the men, I think. But
I agree. High value men should not show emotions, or should be able to control their emotions. And
that's the point. But because I don't remember, like, the last time that I was really that emotional. I probably rather get, not rather, but I probably get more angry than any other emotion. I mean, except laughing, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely learning to, like, be able to control it. What makes it the key. I don't think.
So in this case, I would say I definitely disagree. So, I mean, the question was, if I'm not wrong.
The question was like, should men show their emotions, whatever, right?
Okay, yeah. So I disagree, slightly. So I somewhat disagree with the fact that they should be able to show their emotions.
Exactly.
Anywhere.
Somewhat. I probably along with you there, but yeah, that probably brought up the whole video of Jubilee. Yeah. That was definitely not that bad. It was
a interesting video
and an interesting bunch of people to talk about it. Right. I think I would have probably wanted to hear the African American a bit more. He's probably had to shine a bit more. I would have been interested on what he said on the last question.
The one with the jeans jacket, to be precise.
Sorry, my absolute bad. The ones with the jeans jacket. That would have been interesting. The bald guy he did talk enough, so we didn't really miss out on that aspect. But it's definitely interesting. Absolutely, like not all men are the same, right? Since that's the initial question. There are just men that think different. There are men that have had different experiences, like the other African American with the turquoise jacket said. He was raised up gay, whatever, and his parents, his church, his neighborhood, whatever, his close people kind of forced him to bottle up his emotions. And on the other side, we have like this bald guy who was raised on traditions of like being masculine and having importance, whatever, right? So not all men are the same because nobody really has the same experience in life. But to some extent, there is middle ground between all of us, right?
Yeah, there is kind of a middle ground. But yeah.
That's as generic as an answer that I can get. But fantastic video. What do you say?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Decent experience.
We learned a bunch. We learned a bunch. We shared a bunch. And yeah, that was it.
Thank you guys for watching.
Absolutely.
And leave a like.
Leave a like, leave a comment, leave where you probably disagreed. I think there isn't a single person who probably disagree with what we just said. But yeah, leave a comment. We genuinely will respond to them. And catch us next week on a probably interesting, or if not even a more so interesting topic to talk about. So see you guys next week, right?
See you guys next week.
Let's go.